What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a little bit of an educational video, a little bit of a theory video, kind of talking about 10k grade 2s, kind of more so overdressed grade 2s in Accel and Protect decks, maybe bumping up your 9ks at 10ks. Now, why would you want to run 10k grade 2s over your 9k, engine cards? Now, this is a thought that kind of stems back to G era, and in G era, a lot of times you wanted to be running 10k vanillas just because they were very, very safe. Your opponent couldn't rush you. Your opponent couldn't try and play funny games with you if you're sitting on a 10k, because back then it was universal 9ks and they couldn't swing into you unless they called down boosters, and that could be led to them getting extremely punished if they didn't have those cards in hand for later combos, or you play in a deck that could play removal, or anything. If they needed that shield really badly, you can just punish them for having to force so many cards out of their hand just to attack into your 10k that you did nothing other than ride. So overdress coming into the meta of the game now, you're going to be looking at grade 2s that are actually functional, that actually have good or decent effects, that you can say, hey, my deck doesn't necessarily have that many, overwhelmingly good spots in my grade 2 lineup. I'm just going to play a few of these, bump my defensive power up, and make sure that, my opponent can't really break my defenses now. And why can your opponent not break your defenses? Well, it's because the 1k really does matter. Grade 2 10ks can keep your hands afloat a lot more than you first realize. If you're sitting on a hand with 3 to 4 triggers and some grade 1s, and you ride onto a 9k grade 2, your opponent's going to call down some grade 2s, some 9ks, and attack into you. You're not going to be able to guard this efficiently. You're going to waste so much shield. You're going to waste 20 to 30k shield trying to guard and stay low damage, because it's very awkward numbers. I can't really guard that 9k with the 10k because it feels so bad. So sometimes you get either A, take more damage, you want to save your hand to be guarding very efficiently, or B, you waste a lot of guard and just you waste a lot of guard and don't have that for the later game. And this is a really frustrating thing to happen, because it feels like you kind of just lost the luck of the draw, right? I didn't draw my 5k shields to guard this. I could take so much damage, and then they had a great combo and they killed me and I lost the game. This can stop a lot of that, because now either A, they're gonna have to call down grade 1s to attack into you, and that overshadows the extra 1k that you got, meaning that your guard's gonna be a lot more efficient and it's gonna take a lot of shield out of their hand. And B, maybe they just don't call any grade 2s at all. They're like, I can't swing into that, I'm just going to call a booster behind my Vanguard and swing in, or swing under, they're not going to take any damage. Oh well. This is a great way to dominate the grade 2 game if you're really going for that. If you're really trying to play a long grade 2 game, maybe force them to ride up first so you get the first stride, sitting on a 10k grade 2 can be the way to kind of do this, because again, they're going to have to either call a lot of cards down, or just not call any at all, or call down cards with skills that they might need for later. Maybe use Counterblast or Soul Blast to get that extra power to swing into you, and you're starving him out of the game just by riding a 10k. This is a significant power play that is just riding, a vanilla basically. And so, why do I keep saying 9k, 9k, 9k? When you look at what's in the meta at the moment, we have a lot of Granblue running around. We're looking at the most represented decks. We have Vanguard and Granblue. And then I think moving into a format that's a bit more solved, we're going to be seeing a lot more Nightmare Dolls. And Nightmare Dolls are a deck that, funny enough, play into the grade 2 10ks just as well as Granblue does, which is not well at all. So I kind of want to get into a little bit of an example, a visual example, to kind of show you guys why this can be a very impactful thing, and kind of make it so that it's not just me talking and you can have the numbers by your side so you can immediately see. So say I'm playing Battle Sister Choquette and I'm going to ride it. Do my plays, attack in, do whatever, right? My opponent rides Columbard, Counterblast 1, calls a Ghost Ship, plays a Greed Shade, does their milling stuff, does what they do, right? This is a standard Granblue play. If I'm sitting on Battle Sister Choquette and I don't have a Heal Guardian in hand, my opponent's going to attack in with Columbard. I have to use a 5k to guard that, barring any triggers, right? They attack with Greed Shade, that's a 5k to guard that. They attack with Ghost Ship, it gets 15k power. That's a 20k to guard that, because if I use 15, that's 24, that's the same as Ghost Ship, so it hits, so I have to use 20k to guard that. This means I'm using 30k shield and 3 to 4 cards to guard a very low investment turn from Granblue. Like, this is not something that is really hard for them to do at all. It's basically just drawing Columbard and calling a Greed Shade down. This is what they do a lot of times, right? So I wouldn't want to be wasting 3 to 4 cards to guard what they're using 1 card to do. So if I am sitting on a grade 2 10k, so maybe sitting on my Drilling Angel, or sitting on, you know, a 12k vanilla if you want to go that crazy, their Columbard can't hit, their Greed Shade can't hit, and their Ghost Ship's going to swing in. And since I'm sitting at 10k, 15k shield from a trigger means I'm sitting on 25. That means there's 1 card to guard this entire turn, and it's only a single 15k shield trigger. This is insane, because now that turn that would have costed me 3 grade 2s or 2 grade 1s and 2 grade 2s is only costing me a single trigger. For the long run, this means that in a scenario where I have to ride a 9k, I either have significantly kneecapped my offense, or I'm just like out of cards, and their next turn, if I end up riding up, if I don't have a good enough recovery, they're just going to slam into me and maybe, you know, do first stride bad bounty or something crazy and just run me over, because I lost so many resources from having to guard a pretty standard grade 2 turn. But in this universe, where I had the grade 2 10k, I saved this many cards in hand, maybe I have an insanely good clapback and say, okay, let's play the grade 2 game. You're going to have to swing into my 10k, I'm going to call a bunch of cards down, I'm going to swing into you, you're going to have to guard everything, and now I'm going to have a significant advantage just because of the way I chose to ride my cards. This is what Solemn was talking about when he released his BRO Grand Blue Premium deck, where he was talking about how he rode Overdress grade 2s, just because in a lot of matchups, they're just swinging dead. And this is a theory that works out in practice so well that, you know, I wanted to talk about this. Looking at Nightmare Dolls, you have Alice to Leslie column. If you're sitting on a 9k, this is a 15k shield to guard every single time. If you're sitting on a 10k, it's only 10k shield to guard, because they're hitting for a perfect 19. If you're sitting in 9, you know, you're losing 1k power and it's saving a card in hand effectively. And the ride down, it cannot hit, which is so crazy to think that a turn that would have attacked you twice, made you use multiple cards from hand, is now you're only guarding the Carol now. You're saving so many cards from this measly 1k power from sitting on a card in your deck building that makes, you know, puts you in a much better spot. So maybe if you couldn't survive Grand Blue or Pale Moon or Accel or anything that hits these weird thresholds where it's like, okay, if I'm sitting on a 9k, I'm getting uber punished, I'm gonna have to use, you know, triggers where I could use grade 1s, or I'm gonna have to use, you know, triggers and a 5k where I could have just used a trigger. Saving cards incrementally is so strong. Saving 1 to 2 cards here and there, you know, kind of snowballs into I have 3 extra cards on my kill turn, I have 4 extra cards on my kill turn, or I have 4 extra cards on their kill turn, and I survive with a 10k in my hand when I should have just died because they played their early game really well. But since in deck building I said, hey, I'm going to plan for this, now I'm good. Now I have these extra cards in hand and I can just play my turns a lot safer, stay low damage, and play to my outs, which is against like dolls, like hitting damage triggers. So since you don't have to waste so many cards or take so much damage from their little pokes and their little dings and dangs, now you can hit damage triggers, stay 1 to 2, they swing into with their stride turn, you hit, oh, 2 damage triggers, nice, I live, I'm gonna ride up and have my turn and take a crack out of myself. So, in conclusion, decks that can sacrifice space really want to use these. If you can sacrifice 3 to 4 spots, maybe 2 to 3 spots, just enough where you can see this by grade 2, and just enough to where maybe you can search it out somehow, this can be very, very impactful for you. If you're meta dependent, so say, yeah, Godals and Grand Blue are perfect to run these into, you're gonna run over those decks with these, but sometimes maybe if you're in a Genesis, you know, Kagero, Shadow Paladin format, you're not going to want to play these because, you know, I'm not really saving anything. They're already swinging into me. But maybe in that case, you're running 10k grade 2s to hit them unboosted. That's another way to do it. Look at it. And another thing is you're going to want to use Overdress grade 2s that have decent synergy with your deck. With the amount of cards they're releasing for Overdress and with the gigantic pool of cards that they're releasing in Overdress, eventually a card is going to land that is going to work well in your deck. Looking at decks like Aquaforce, you're going to have like Hendry, or the one that revives a card, same with Gramble, the cards that revive. In OTT, you're going to have Drilling Angel, which puts a grade 3 into the soul, which is very important for a lot of our different skills. Minor things like that have so much impact when you're considering the fact that I'm gaining so much defenses on top of these little skills that they get. So take a look at this, maybe rewatch the video, kind of go over examples in your head and kind of see if your deck or a deck that you want to play or a deck that you're playing gets punished by this, and have ways to think that maybe if this becomes popular in the future, I have outs to it, or maybe I'm going to play this so I have outs to the meta. And anyways, guys, thanks for watching. It's just a little video I wanted to bring together because it was something that in my testing has come up a lot, and I thought it would be very interesting to talk about and be very good to educate some people on, spread it out so the community can become a little more knowledgeable. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching and peace out.